Do I think training in crisis management can actually be a bad thing as well as a good thing? The answer is yes. I've just recently completed some research looking at the literature in staff training in a horrible title, Physical Interventions. In 2021, you would not buy a second-hand car based on the evidence. There's very little research on the subject, and the picture is confusing across all studies that have been published of reasonable quality. We only managed to find 17 over the last 60 years. Now, for a multi-billion-dollar training industry, that's an alarming figure. But even looking at the conclusions, if you train staff in physical interventions, does it reduce injuries to them or others? The answer is unclear. If you train people, will it make people more confident? The answer is sometimes. All the answers to these questions is that we've made assumptions all the time that getting people into the room on gym mats is a good thing. The Studio 3 approach says, do things like that sparingly. If you're going to train people, be minimalists. Less is more. And that's really the essential part of the chapters in the book on freedom from restraint and seclusion. We're going to lift the veil on what we actually teach. Of course we teach things in crisis situations to keep people safe, but we're minimalists. In all the years that I've been working, and it's been a long time since I've ever had to hold anyone down, through choice now, it was never a positive experience. In my first job, I was taught how to hold people down. Even at the time, I was thinking, is this right? But all my colleagues are saying it's an okay thing to do. What I'm happy to say is these days that's changed. We only change practice by questioning what we do. And if some people read my book and think, this is crazy, this is out there, we have over 35 years of experience doing this as practitioners and researchers. This wasn't written one day in the back of some bar somewhere in North America or some pub in Belgium, although pubs in Belgium are always a good place to go and drink in my experience post-COVID. What we're trying to say here is this is measured experience from a whole collective of people who apply the low arousal approach. I am so honoured and proud that we have so many people in Studio 3 who are trainers in this approach. And it's evolving over the years. It's not just my approach, it's a whole group of people's approach. And I'm happy to say that I think the ideas that we have in some countries and some cultures are starting to become more accepted. And that has to be a good thing for the future. If one person, even in the training industry, reads this book and understands that we're not crazy people, we're realists, but we don't have to keep justifying what we do all the time. If I justified what I did in my first job in the 1980s now, I wouldn't have changed one bit. I'd have carried on doing the same things in the same old way. If we're really going to change our practices with restraint and seclusion, a critical part of our approach is that it's us who has to change, not the vulnerable people we support.